They thought, how can you think about these things? This is crazy. Why would you do this? And, you know, I had to explain to him, well, in the end, he asked me questions about different things that, basically he said things to me, like what is it? It was almost like a form of probing that some psychologists use. Basically, they say a word, and then you give the first thing that comes to mind. Rather, he wanted a definition of those things. Or rather, in some cases, he would actually present a scenario, and he wanted me to describe what fact was. And I think that was the thing that sort of flabbergasted him about me. I think that's the word as well. Either way, the thing is fact, or what we interpret as fact. Because in truth, anyone can say something is fact. Whether it's true or not is all in whether we believe what they say is true, but rather what it is things that are constant, things that don't change, things that are always going to be the way they are. But the thing is what we interpret as a fact is based on what we see and what we believe. Because obviously, what's a good example here? If someone says, is that person really there? Well, my eyes are telling me that yes, they are. They are really there. Now, I mean, for someone else, it could be somewhat subjective, because maybe there's something about maybe they've taken something, I don't know. Maybe their vision has been impaired, or there's something firing wrong in their brain. Maybe they see an illusion or something that isn't really there. So what do you say then? Well, if I see it, I believe it. It's a fact. That person is there. Not necessarily. And how can you always ensure that your eyes are seeing what they're seeing? Or you're hearing what you're hearing? You're smelling what you're smelling? Your brain, and I'm not an expert in this, but from what I understand, the brain is very malleable. And it can easily be controlled and manipulated to make someone think something, believe something. And you know what? When someone looks at what's fact and what's not, the whole idea of virtualization and simulation, it throws those things right out the window. Because it's designed to make you see what you see, think what you think, hear what you hear, smell what you smell. Simulation, virtual reality, and even some situations where environmental situations, can cause one person's mind to believe one thing, and they have no way of knowing, in some cases, whether or not what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're smelling is true. Or if you consider truth to be fact, then that's what that is. So, fact. What is fact? Well, I would have to say that from a theoretical perspective, the source is a fact. But the mind, or what the mind does with that information, is not. As soon as that information enters the mind, it is no longer a fact. It is an interpretation. Because even the eyes, the input taken from the eyes, is also an interpretation. Because it's not just our brain that does interpretation. Our eyes do interpretation as well. Our mouths, our nose, all of that has some form of programming. Now, it's more like firmware rather than a flexible software. Well, more or less, but at the same time, that's what that is. As soon as we take that information in, it's no longer a fact. It's an interpretation. So, is that billboard in front of me real? Is that person in front of me real? I don't know. But I have faith that my eyes are telling me the truth because I have no reason to doubt them. Why do I have no reason to doubt them? I do not believe that I'm in a environment or situation where my eyes and my brain is being hampered. So I have no reason to believe that there's any environmental reason why I shouldn't be able to see what I'm seeing. The light that I'm receiving from the sun is allowing my eyes to focus on the light reflected and refracted off of the sign. I believe the colors there are the correct colors, all that sort of stuff. Shapes, it's all interpretation that's made by the eyes and the mind, the body itself. So, what is fact? The fact is the source. That's my theory. So how do we know that things are fact? In my opinion, the truth is, at least what I believe is the truth, we don't. We don't know what is fact. We can only have faith in what we believe, and what we believe is what we think is fact. Of course, for me, I don't necessarily believe in any, I believe in them, but if some new information comes along, I have to be willing to look into it or accept it if it seems to be common knowledge or a common idea or something like that. And I'll probably get into a little bit more detail about this with you guys. But the truth is, it's like as soon as he heard that, it's like, do you believe in any facts? I believe, but I don't necessarily know. Does the planet circle around the sun? I have to assume so because, the sun, we see it moving in the skies. It goes down, then it comes back up. It goes on like a 24 hours. Actually, no, that's the spin of the Earth. Sorry. Well, there you go. Is the Earth spinning? I have to assume so because the theories behind the Earth circling, and as a result coming back to the same point at which it was where at the same point where it was before, more or less, anyways, would indicate that it's plausible, and you could even consider it to be a fact. Sure, I have no problem with that. We can consider that fact. But I mean, is that always going to be constant? I don't know. The fact that he heard this from me, it's as if he completely lost who I was. He had no idea who I was anymore. You know what? He's probably going to learn as time goes on that I'm just unique. I don't necessarily think the way other people do. And I suppose now you guys sort of know how I think, and how I feel. Now, I have a lot of faith in different things. I'm not specifically talking about religious faith, although it might be considered the same. In truth, I simply look at the world as a never-ending cycle of learning. Every second we learn something, we learn something new. Every day we are some of us struggle, some of it's easier, but in truth we all struggle from one perspective and another to understand the world. And we can't be caught up in who's right and who's wrong. Because that whole idea of human versus human conflict, as far as who's right and who's wrong, no. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. It only exists in our minds. The only thing that we can truly trust is the source. But at the same time, we're all unique. We have no way of truly identifying which one of us is right in our interpretations of the source. But that's also a gift to us, because we have so much of a perspective. If all of us could come together and could share with one another our perspective, then I think we would understand the universe much better, have a better understanding of the universe, as far as humans are concerned. Whether there's other life out there in the galaxy, that's not really for me to dictate or to think about too hard right now. All these conflicts and stuff between religions, who's right and who's wrong, these wars and all this sort of stuff, it's pointless. The only true conflict that we have is with the source itself. Think about it. Every day we are learning, but every day we're also unlearning and relearning new things. Learning is a never-ending cycle. Learning is the struggle. Learning is the conflict. Which in a way, it makes the source our very ally, as it is what we learn from, but it's also our enemy. Because it is what we actually fight against every day. People that wish to hide themselves from the world, people that don't want to be, just want to survive, people that don't really want to live but that want to survive, they're fighting with the source. And they'll probably die by the source's hand. People that live, flourish off of learning new things. But it's not just about learning new things. It's being willing to adapt to the new environments, to the new things that are learned. Learning is a great thing. Knowledge is a great thing. But you must also have the wisdom to be able to use that to the benefit of others and the benefit of yourself. With knowledge comes responsibility, power, and the responsibility must be managed properly. So, having said that, that is the way that I look at the world. That is what I see humans needing to go towards. They need to stop thinking of one another as the enemy and look to each other as the allies that try to conquer the source. The source is the entire universe, not even just it physically, but every experience that we gain from it, every feeling, every part of our experience as we learn and even sit in the presence of the source itself. That is the challenge. And I think that we should all embrace it. I think that we should embrace the challenge of learning the source together. And I think once we do that, then we can start moving out of the darkness that we've sort of allowed ourselves to slip into. Well, I think that concludes this this little audio log. Or little. It's actually quite long. But you know what? This was on my mind for a little bit. I've been trying hard to think about how to put this out. And you know what? It feels good to share it. And I hope you guys can appreciate what I've shared with you. And I hope that I can appreciate you people just as much as you can appreciate me and what I have to offer. And I'm not being, what's the word for it, self-righteous or up on myself. There's still a lot that I have to learn. But I do know, and I have faith in myself, that I have perspective that I can share with others and that people can learn from me. And likewise, I think there's perspective that people can share with me. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. GD out.